Welcome back. It's the next episode of Process Preparation and Performance. I'm Coach Duke. We're here with Coach Simmons, and we are extremely humbled to have Tag keep rolling, Coach Simmons. We have an awesome guest in the house going through his bio. I can't believe it. This guy's probably forgotten more about football than I'm ever going to know, and I can't wait to dive in to talk to him a little bit. But JR, we hit a milestone this kind of week or this past week for the podcast. I was super excited when you told us about it. I couldn't believe it. I kind of looked down at my text messages. I'm like, holy cow. I mean, people are actually listening. I was at a baseball game the other night and some guy came up to me and said, "Hey, I've been listening to your podcast." I'm like, what the heck? How is this even happening? Like, people don't know me. What's going on? But tell everybody what that is, JR.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate. I was looking on the stats on SoundCloud the other day, and we're over 2,000 plays on our episodes. We're up over 100 different devices are downloading the things on iTunes. So somebody
That's
likes it.
incredible.
I think they're all crazy, but they apparently like listening to what we're having to say some days. So
I asked my kids, I'm like, is this all you, man? You just replaying all this stuff or what's going on? He's like, no, Dad, I'm only on episode 5. I'm like, okay. All right, well, we'll get going. But Jared, tell everybody who we got tonight.
yeah, we are super, super, super excited to have Desmond Lindsey with us. And he's running back coach. He's going to talk, he's going to convert all these guys who want to be Division I, Division II, Division III running backs in high school into these running backs. So if they'll listen to this episode, you know, they're going to get some awesome tips here. And I'm super excited that we have him on the show.
Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing well, guys. I appreciate you all for having me on, and hopefully I can share some knowledge with some guys tonight that'll hopefully help them out in their career.
Oh, absolutely. I'm absolutely 100% sure you're going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to dive right in, Coach, because we asked for a bio. You sent it to us. And I'm just gonna list some of the places on your resume because it's absolutely fascinating to me. I want to hear about some of the highlights of this. But if we go all the way back to Wilcox Central High School, then we have Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, University of Arcus at Monticello, University of West Alabama, University of West Georgia, University of Southern Mississippi, Memphis, and now Arkansas State. Coach, that is incredible. Nice job. Nice work, man. How do you do all that?
Well, here's what I tell guys. For me, it's been a pretty good ride. It's been a good journey, but I've been fortunate on every stop. You know, I think that's the biggest key. Even my first stop at Wilcox Central in Camden, Alabama, I was very fortunate to be recommended by one of my late mentors, and stayed there for a year. And during that year transitioning, coaching high school ball and teaching at middle school, at the middle school level, it was very interesting. Taught me a lot of things, how to get back to the basics more than anything, and just how to make sure that you're over prepared and under prepared. And then I had an opportunity to get into college coaching at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. Funny story there, because the head coach during that time was my college coach that I won a national title under at Upstate University, Steve Campbell, which he's currently the head coach at the University of South Alabama now. And, it kind of got rolling with Coach Campbell at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College for 2 seasons. Then had an opportunity to get on at the Division II level, which, in any profession, you always want to try to elevate as much as you can. And, really wasn't looking for an opportunity, but opportunity presented itself to get on the Division II level at Arkansas Monticello. Great coordinator Will Hall is currently the offensive coordinator right now at Tulane, was looking for a receivers guy, and my name came across his desk and went up there and interviewed. Coach Hall and I was together at Arkansas Monticello. We went to West Alabama for another 6-7 seasons, and during the West Alabama years, had a great run there. Started off under Bobby Wallace, the legendary coach that you talk about that won 3 national titles in the mid to early 90s. So legendary guy like that, you just learn so much. I mean, it was like a sponge working under Coach Wallace for those 2 to 3 years there. Then, of course, Coach Hall took over as the head coach, and we had another run for another 3 years. got a couple of conference titles out of there. Had some great players. I think that was the biggest key. We recruited some great talent and some great character guys that believed in what we were selling at the end of the day at the University of West Alabama. Had a great run there and had an opportunity to get going at the University of West Georgia, which was a gold mine of a job during the time that we took over that program. And, again, get a conference title over there, region title, get to the semis 2 years in a row. Then end the way we wanted to end, but it was a great run there again. Just went in there, recruited some great talent, and had great support from the administration, which at any level you have to have that support from the top. And then an opportunity at the University of Southern Miss come about. Very fortunate there to work with Jay Hobson for 2 years. First year was coaching tight ends, and second year I got back to coaching wide receivers. So had a great run there, 2 consecutive bowl games, winning the first one in the New Orleans Bowl. So very fortunate in there. Then had an opportunity to get on at the University of Memphis under Mike Norvell, which is, genius of a guy when you talk offensive football. And then after one season there, had an opportunity to get over here with Coach Blake Anderson, coaching the running backs. I'm heading into season 2 now. And you talk about Blake Anderson, in this profession, I don't know if there's one person that has any negative comments to say about Blake Anderson. I mean, I think that's a huge accomplishment, and I think that's the reason that he's really never had much staff turnover. Also, because like Coach talks about all the time, he never wants you to feel like you work for him. He always wants you to feel like you work with him. So I've been very fortunate in that aspect right there. So I'm loving every moment being in Jonesboro with my family. Coaching staff, we're really close knit. I think that trickles down into to the team also with the players.
It's interesting when you mentioned Tulane, because we had the director of football ops at Tulane on about 6-7 episodes ago, who actually I worked with here at Jeff City High School. And so when you mentioned that he was at Tulane, I'm like, this is such a small world sometimes. It's just amazing what a small world it is. So I know this isn't on our script we sent you. What's your opinion of teaching middle school?
My opinion of teaching middle school actually helped me out, even in the coaching profession right now. And I'm going to kind of jump off the track a little bit, but coming up when college coaches were allowed to, go to basically the Power 5 schools during the summer months and work camps. A lot of times I wanted to work with the younger kids because you have to break everything down from step one. A lot of times when you're coaching the high school kids, coaching the kids that are 4-star, 5-star kids, in a sense, they're already technique, fundamentals, they're already kind of stuck with a lot of things. So teaching the younger kids helped me out every summer because I had to get back to the basics. I really had to teach outside of coaching. That's the biggest thing is being a teacher. And I think being in middle school will teach you, first of all, patience more than anything, because you have to think, you have elementary kids that's kind of getting themselves together. You have high school kids that, in a sense, they think, hey, we're adults, we're grown. But the middle school kids, they're in the middle for a reason now. So they really make you have some patience at the end of the day. So I think that was one of the biggest things was patience and just being able to just really teach and and it helped me also even in the coaching profession with word associating different things also. That's where I really got my word associating from with teaching my guys even at this level from being in the middle school education system.
So what do you think is the biggest adjustment for the kids coming out of high school? Everybody that's going to a big school, everybody's good. What's the hardest adjustment, even just at the running back position for those guys?
Well, from my experience, I just think time management more than anything, because now mom, dad, grandma, whoever, they're not waking you up now. Now you have to be accountable not only to yourself, but you have to be accountable to that university, to that community, to that team that you're on. So time management is one of the biggest things, because now a lot of those kids have had everything kind of handed to them, silver spoon, but now you have to make sure that, hey, you're up for breakfast check on time, which is 5 minutes early. You have to make sure, hey, I'm getting the training table on time. I'm getting to study hall on time. You know, I'm prepared for meetings. And there's a lot of things that goes with that. So I think that's one of the biggest things, just time management that those guys have to make sure they get acclimated. You know, getting into the college ranks, and I think social interactions also, you know, because a lot of times, you know, kids are in high school, they just have one look, what I call clique that they've been associated with, and you know, getting to the college ranks, you know, there's different guys now. You know, Jamie, for an example, he was probably the star of his high school, you know, most popular and things of that nature. You get on the college campus, which a lot of times it could be, you know, 4 or 5 times more students there, and now you're just another guy. You know, I think that's the biggest thing. So guys have to get adjusted to social interactions, and you know, just hey, try to make sure that they're not just being distance from, you know, their peers, you know, as they move forward, and just, you know, trying to make sure that, hey, I don't want to just, you know, hang with football guys all the time. Let me just become a normal student sometime and just interact with just, you know, non-athletes also, because they can benefit you, you know, 5-10 years down the road also. And just being humble. I think that's one of the keys, but that goes back to, you know, a guy coming on campus, he's always been the best on his team and things of that nature. But when you get to the collegiate level, I think it don't matter what level that you're at. I mean, there's going to be, you know, another 70, 80 guys just as talented as you are. So I think those are some key points that I think those guys have to get adjusted with.
I love what you said about going back to middle school and teaching the basics.
Correct.
Because I've coached all the way down at like the 4th and 5th grade level, and been fortunate to coach high school level kids on CC flows and stuff. And at the end of the day, you're still repping that first step, how to take a handoff, how to do this, what your read is, who you got on pass pro. It's all the way back to the basics all the time. And God love you, man, for coaching those middle school kids and being involved with them and teaching there and bringing that all the way up, because really we relate all that stuff to the simplest form. And once we break it down to the simplest form, what do we always tell kids? You can go faster when it's not super complex, right? Because it's simple. You can process it and move along. That's awesome. And you're right, JR. Coaching is such a small community when you think about it, because what's that game, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, like any movie, and you can get back to Kevin Bacon somehow. We've talked to people at Tulane who, you know, Coach Lindsey knows, who knows somebody else, who knows somebody else. And man, we are so thankful for learning from all of it. So thank you, Coach, for that. It's humbling to hear you say that, really. I love that part about it. Be brilliant at the basics. I love it. When you're talking about middle school, high school, community college, Division I, all that stuff, how do you help as a running back? Let's just focus in on the running back.
Sure.
How does the running back help create that culture that you see is needed to be a winner, not only on the field, but in the community, in the classroom, everywhere you go? How does the running back on that offensive team help create that winner mentality?
Well, I think the biggest thing for us is we have one culture at Arkansas State, and our culture is one: others first, no excuses, and effort. Just go to work every day. That's the biggest thing for us. We all are bought into one culture. So it's my job as a servant to make sure that I'm more significant than trying to be successful. And the way I define that is, you wake up on a daily basis, and you know, in Jonesboro, let's use the local Dollar General. That manager that runs Dollar General, they're successful at the end of the day. They make a pretty good salary, good quality of life, but are they significant? Are they having a positive impact on a young man or a young lady on a daily basis? So for me, I think that's the biggest thing. And even for our running backs, that we just want to make sure, hey, how am I impacting that O lineman that's having a bad day? How am I impacting that DB that I just hopefully trucked in practice, you know? And just making sure that, hey, lift that guy up at the end of the day, because everyone needs that. And that's one of our biggest things. Like I said, others first. Let's put others first. You know, no excuses. At the end of the day, you know, with those running backs also, no excuses. I tie into what I ask those guys: are you an index finger or are you a thumb? And what I mean by that, the index finger, what are you doing with that index finger? You always pointing that index finger. That thumb is directly at you right there. So I tell those, let's make sure that we're the thumb in a good situation or a bad situation. As long as you're the thumb on a daily basis, I think you're gonna definitely make sure that you're still creating that culture also. And I think a lot of it, stems from the head coach or the GM. Anything of that nature, athletic director, just depends on the level. But being here with a guy like Blake Anderson, he comes in every day, even from this past year, 2 or 3 years that he's been battling with some personal issues, but that guy still comes in every day with a positive attitude and still just making sure, hey, how can I help you guys out? Man, it's been unreal. So I think positive equals positive at the end of the day. If he's coming in positive every day, it doesn't matter how much negativity someone else tries to put us off. That culture that we have in that running back room, it's going to stay positive. I think if he's a head coach that's constantly negative day in and day out, I think it's, in my perspective, I think it can get complicated sometimes trying to create positivity, if it stems from the top right there. So I think that's the biggest thing. And, just like I said, just working for a guy like Coach Blake Anderson, man, it's been awesome. And our kids see that. Our kids see that, hey, man, our coaching staff, they're tight knit. So as a running back group, they need to make sure, hey, we need to be tight knit. They see everything that you do also at the end of the day. And I think, maybe years back, you could probably fool a kid or, fool some players here or there. But I think now, it's all truthful. Our kids understand, hey, is this real or is this fake at the end of the day? So again, I just try to make sure that I'm being a servant from the head coach. Hey, just making sure, hey, this is our culture right here. And as a running back room, we have to make sure that we live up to that culture because at the end of the day, if we're making our teammates better, if we're competing against each other on a daily basis, that culture is going to be there, at the end of the day. And just making sure that I try to inspire leaders within that room also. Even something as little as, if we have a 2:30 Zoom meeting as a position group, I may text one of the leaders, a day before and say, hey, we have a 2:30 Zoom meeting tomorrow. And that's all I would do. It's up to him to make sure he gets the rest of his teammates on the same page. So 5 minutes early, everybody's on there. So that way we know exactly, hey, we're creating more leaders also.
Oh, I love it. And JR, nobody is going to believe this when we talk about it on the podcast. But one of the comments you made, Coach, is something that I actually have on my desk right now. And it says, do not settle for successful, be significant. Nobody will believe it, but JR got it right here. It's right here. I proved it. It's on my desk, baby. It's on my desk. I'm not lying. I love that quote. Coach, I usually wait till later in the show, but I'm going to bring this up right now. I still got a year of eligibility, and I think I can run the rock, man. Because right now we're on the same page, and I think I could do this. So Arkansas State ain't that far. I could be down there whenever. Don't worry about it. Don't answer now. Don't answer now. I don't.
You got a good trainer. You're gonna need a good trainer.
No. Plus I'm a doctor, so I'll fix myself. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. Oh man, I love that quote. I am juiced up, JR. I'm ready to go now. All right, I'll let you go, JR. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
So, Coach, I was looking at your guys' schedule here for this fall, and you're opening up with somewhere you've been, which is Memphis.
Correct.
And then I saw on there, y'all are going to be making a trip up to the Big House.
Correct.
And so my question to you is, which game are you looking the most forward to?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you would have asked me this, I'm going to just say 5 years ago, I would probably give you a different answer. But for me, as I've matured, the next game is the most important game. That's the game that I'm looking forward to. It don't matter it don't matter, like I said, if we're playing Memphis or if we're playing Jonesboro High School, because like I said, if you get older in the profession, you mature, because I think you have to take advantage of every opportunity that you have with the camaraderie that you having with that team, wherever you're at. I think that's the biggest thing for me. So I just want to make sure that, hey, I'm taking advantage of memories. I'm taking advantage of the camaraderie. I'm taking advantage of the friendships that I'm making. So for me, it's not, hey, this is the game we have to get. I think it's the next game. Whoever that opponent is, that's the most important game for me. That's the game that I'm looking forward to, because it gives me an opportunity to make sure, for first and foremost, that my running backs get another opportunity to get better, to make sure, hey, how am I helping the team? I didn't do as great last week. Let me make up for it, moving forward. And it's like Eric Erickson said, with kind of a prosperity versus despair. There's going to be a lot of people that gets older in the age and say, man, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. But I don't want to be that guy. I want to be that guy. Say, hey, I did it. I lived it, man. I enjoyed every game that I coached in, man. I was coaching my balls. I was all into it. I think that's what I want. I want more prosperity than despair, saying, hey, I wish I would have done. Because I think if you say, hey, this is the most important game, down the schedule and things of that nature, I think you're missing out on opportunity and you're just trying to jump ahead. So that's my philosophy.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense to me. I have a two-parter, Coach, and hopefully I don't get too wordy. Sometimes I do that, but from high school, and I'm quite a bit older than you, I'm sure of that, but from high school all the way up into college now, there's so many different styles of offense, right? There's the I, there's the wing T, there's the bone. We got spread going crazy. We got flex bone. We got all that stuff. At the end of the day, is the running back really different in any of those offenses? Or are there two or three core things that make you a running back no matter what offense you're in?
I think at the end of the day, schematically, you have to go with what your running back can do. I think at the end of the day. But by saying that, a lot of the spread teams, especially at the collegiate level, a lot of those guys, they don't want their premier back to be I don't know, a 6'1", 225, 230 pounds. I don't want that to be the premier back. Now, they want that on their roster, but just for their premier back, they want a guy hey, we can put him in the slot. We can put him out wide. He's a backfield threat. We know he's great on the inside zone. We know, hey, he's great outside zone. Hey, we know he's great in our gap schemes. We know we can run him on wheel routes and shoot routes out of the backfield and things of that nature. Third downs, hey, give me that big bruiser so we can make sure that, hey, we get the, that tough 2 yards, that tough 3 yards and things of that nature right there. Well, right. I think thematically you're going to have to go with what you have. And I think that's what makes some of the high school coaches some of the best coaches in America, because they take what they have and they utilize that. I think for us college coaches, we can go out and kind of hand pick our guys to say, hey, we got to make sure that he can fit into our scheme. But I think some of the best coaches are at the high school level because they take what they have and they make the best of it.
What do you think is better to have, speed or power, if you had to pick between the two for the running back position?
If I had to pick between the two, I would definitely pick power. If I had to pick between the two, I would definitely pick power. Prime example, if you watch LSU from this past season, I think he probably went into the NFL combine running maybe a 4.6 40 or something of that nature. But if you watch games, he never got caught. But when you say power, oh man, he was unreal. He was, even for a 5'7", 205, 10-pound guy, if you watch film, I broke him down every snap that he had this season. Guys didn't want to tackle that guy, but he was just tough and had power and strength, man. And he was just one of those guys that you like, hey, he's going to be a first-round guy without a doubt.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, loaded question. Is the fullback coming back?
I tell you, I've been in situations to where I was coaching at one school and we took a defensive lineman and ended up putting him as what we call our hybrid guy, tight end, fullback type guy. And he's currently a starter in the NFL now at the fullback position. So I think at the end of the day, some programs we want a hybrid tight end, but you bring a kid in thinking he's a hybrid tight end, and when you try to put his hand in the dirt, he can't get that done. Now it kind of causes confusion. So I just think it's more, what you want. But at the end of the day, I would definitely err on more that, hey, somebody's going to end up saying, hey, let's get the fullback into the game.
There you go. He's smiling, JR. He's smiling when he's talking about this. So you know, you got something cooking for this year, Coach. I know it. There's something coming, and they may not know it at Memphis or in the big house. They won't listen to this. That's okay. We're out in like Norway, but nobody up there is going to listen. So don't worry. It'll be all right. That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me a drill or skill of your choice. It's day one. You're at a new school. Don't care if it's high school, college, middle school, if we're going to be brilliant at the basics. Day one, first drill we're putting in.
Day one, first thing we're doing, we're lining with no pads and nothing on. We're lining up. We're hitting the sled. Day one.
Oh, yes. Yes. I love it.
Day one, we're working on pass pro. If we don't do anything else, we want to make sure we work pass pro. I think, as far as a drill, anything of that nature, any type of pass pro competition, I love it. I think that's at the end of the day. Again, you get a lot of running backs that think, hey, we're just going to get handoffs. No, I want to see where your commitment is to this football team. And pass pro tells you everything that you need to know about a kid. Now, some kids, they may lose the drill, but if they're putting maximum effort, you have a chance. Some kid could be a star player. If he's shying away from pass pro, or if he's not putting maximum effort in pass pro, you know that you have a selfish kid right there. I think that right there, that eliminates a lot of things for you in terms of your running back. And I think at any position, to be honest, skill-wise.
Makes sense to me.
It's going to be a little bit of a loaded question too, but this will date me with how old I am, because I grew up watching Walter Payton.
Okay.
And that was my guy. I didn't particularly care for the Bears, but I like Walter Payton.
I understand.
And then Bo Jackson came along.
Yep.
And that dude that's a whole nother level of stupid there. What that guy was able to do with playing baseball and football and doing all that. So my question, if you had a perfect running back, who is he going to be modeled after?
And I would have to throw some guys, just put them in a hat and hopefully they can come out. But me coming up, I was a Barry guy. You couldn't tackle Barry Sanders.
Right.
And me getting in football early, again, my opinion, I don't think he had just the best O-line, in the NFL. But you could not tackle that guy. And you talking about just low center of gravity, power, just could do it all. I would have to start with Barry as an older guy. Then you come to, this age group now. You go down to the New Orleans Saints, Alvin Kamara. I mean, he's just a jack of all trades, man. I mean, there's nothing that guy cannot do. And he's a good-sized back also. Then you have to go over to, I guess the next state. Go over to Dallas, Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
I mean, soft, powerful, deceptive when you watch him on film. Good route runner, powerful. I mean, when he gets through the line of scrimmage is what I call it. He gets under that hurdle and just run over the defenders as they're coming up right there. And then I got to finish with my guy McCaffrey, man. I mean, this guy led his team as a running back in receptions. I mean, you don't hear about that. Those are things right there. I mean, this guy breaking down every clip of McCaffrey from this season. I called one of my buddies. I said, man, I can see why they paid this guy. I mean, he is, again, jack of all trades. I mean, he's probably not going to, run a 4.2, 4.3 40 or whatever the case is. But when I say he is so intelligent from that position, I mean, he is just, you can see him. I mean, he's like a coach on the field at that position, to be honest with you. And then they can do so much. They can line him up truly at receiver, and he's going to be just as effective. So I think you throw those four guys in there, man, I think you have something really special.
It's interesting you mentioned McCaffrey, because we had his high school coach and his current trainer on this podcast.
Wow.
And that was two extremely enlightening conversations that we had, because we're like, how do we have these guys on here? And some of the stories they were telling about Christian and the things he can do, it's just unbelievable what that guy can do. And you also mentioned Ezekiel Elliott. He played high school football down in St. Louis, which is about 2 hours from us, at a place called John Burroughs. And I never got to see him in high school, but he's a real deal. I mean, he is the absolute real deal. So I'm going to follow that up here real quick and ask you, what do you think is, I would say, the change that happens between the college level and the NFL level, where you'll see dudes kind of running wild in college? Because I like the South Carolina Gamecocks, for better or worse, and they always play Georgia, and Georgia's got dudes. I mean, they had Todd Gurley, and they had Sony Michel, and Todd Gurley, you know, he's kind of hard to deal with in the NFL, but some of those guys go there, and it just doesn't seem like it ever works out for them. What, you got any insight into that, or any comment on that?
Well, I think as far as the skill and talent level, you know, basically you go into, you know, any Power 5 school, or, you know, even FBS or FCS or whatever, you take the best 1 or 2 players off that team. The NFL is basically, it's like an all-star league. So I think, again, that's kind of, you know, going from high school to the collegiate level. When you're going from the collegiate level to the NFL, you're basically going, now you're on an all-star team where some of those all-stars are real vets at the end of the day. And I think if you're not bought in to that culture, to that way of doing things, it don't matter if you're a first-round guy or if you're a second-round guy, I think you're in trouble. And I think that's the biggest thing that gets a lot of guys out of the league also. You know, it's like one guy said, you know, he talked about ants and roaches. NFL guy, I think it was Tony Saragusa, if I'm not mistaken, but he talked about that culture. And, you know, he said basically if you come home late one night, you know, you've been out with the fellas and probably not living in the best condition, but you come in, he said, and if you flip that light switch on, and if there's roaches in there, what are they going to do? They're going to scatter. Everybody's going their separate way. He said, but you can take a jar full of ants, just shake that jar as long as you want, hard as you want. He said, now, if you pour that jar out of those ants, he said, eventually they will go their separate ways. He said, but when it all gets back down to it, what they would do, they will conform and they would get back in the same line. Everybody be on the same accord. So I think that's the biggest thing with, you know, leaving college and NFL. If guys don't make it from character-wise, and then from a talent standpoint, it just comes down to, you know, are guys mentally into it, or they taking care of their bodies? Because if not, you're not gonna last long. Again, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like you said, I think the best, everybody's an all-star at that level.
Correct.
I mean, there ain't nobody getting carried there. I mean, nobody's luggage there. Everybody's got to play good. So my final one for you would be this: who is the best you personally have ever seen? Any level that you have ever seen?
Man, that's a tough one.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's okay. You think about it, because I want to bring this up about Barry Sanders, because my oldest son loves Barry Sanders, and I heard.
I'm going Steve McNair.
Oh,
okay.
Person just, yeah, Steve, man, he was special.
yeah, that's true.
He was special. He was special, man. So just personally, because, you know, we kind of grew up from the same area and things of that nature. So, you know, just seeing him, I mean, from me being a young kid to, you know, getting all the way up to just, you know, seeing him college, NFL, and things of that nature.
Awesome.
Nice. I was listening to a coach one time, and he was telling a story about Barry Sanders, and he was a Detroit Lions coach. I mean, he was their coach, and he's drawing up this play. Barry's in the backfield, and, you know, the defense is in whatever forefront they're in, and the coach goes, all right, our center and our guard are going double here. The guard and the tackle on the backside are going here. This tackle is going here. And he doesn't block either D end. And some guy, probably like me in the back of the room, raises his hand and goes, hey, coach, you forgot to block those two D ends. He goes, no, those are Barry's guys.
Yeah, Barry.
And he's like, what do you mean? He goes, no, we don't block those. Barry got those two. We just get the other 9. We just get those guys. And he goes, watch. And he showed it on film. And sure enough, neither one of them could tackle him. So he's like, see, I told you, those are Barry's guys.
Yes, no doubt.
You're a really good O-line coach when you got Barry Sanders.
Man,
right?
that's what I'm getting to with my guys. I mean, we can, as anything, especially at that position, you got to make the line great. At the end of the day, you got to make the line great.
Oh, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Coach, you've been amazing to have on. I love the skill of going to hit the sled right away. I think that creates some mentality and some culture just itself, because we tell people all the time, right? No block, no rock. That's the way it works.
Show your commitment.
That's right. Show your commitment, right? Go after it. And I'm going to ask you a question, and then we're going to kind of wrap it up because I know your time is precious.
Okay.
JR and I put out a poll. We were on the defensive side of the ball for a long time, been on the offensive side of the ball for a while now. And JR and I contend that there are only 3 ways to run the football: inside the tackles, outside the tackles, or option, which means you have a guy both inside and outside the tackle. Okay. We put this poll up on Twitter. Well, a bunch of people voted and said, no, that's ridiculous. That's not true. So we said, come on the show, tell us why it's not true. We heard nothing. But since then, we've asked every guest that has been on the show, and they all agree with us that there's only 3 ways to run the football: inside, outside, or option. So you're a running back coach, collegiate running back coach, with an amazing resume. So I'm going to ask you, no harm here. You answer any way you want. Do you believe that there's only 3 ways to run the football?
Well, you're definitely going to be inside the tackle. You're definitely going to be outside the tackle. And you definitely have the opportunity to do both. So I will agree.
JR, I don't even know where these Twitter trolls were that were voting no, but everybody should be agreeing with us.
It's probably who we coached with. They probably got on there just to disagree with us.
Probably. That's probably true. That's probably true. Coach, you've been amazing. I've learned a lot. I think we could get along really well. I'm not going to send you my video yet. I know you guys are busy. So just some drills of me in the front yard hitting the sled or whatever I got to do.
As long as you can pass pro and play on special teams, I give you an opportunity.
Oh man, I'm gonna hit you now. I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna come and hit you.
Oh man,
you might knock me down, but you ain't getting to the queue. That's for sure. You ain't gonna get there. You ain't gonna get there. Nice.
I like.
For Arkansas State, Coach Lindsey, this has been Process Preparation and Performance. I'm Coach Duke. He's JR Simmons, and we are Breakdown Sports. See you later.
Appreciate you guys.